Starting off with the latest coming in on the Kurdistan referendum, Iraqi Kurds announced a massive yes vote for independence. This following a referendum that has incensed Baghdad and sparked international concern. Official results indicate 92% of voters backed statehood in Monday's referendum. The turnout was put out at 78%. President Barzani said the vote would not lead to an immediate declaration of independence and should be a gateway for negotiations. But Iraqi Prime Minister contradicted Barzani and said there was no question of using its results as the basis for talks. Iraqi parliament is sending more troops to the oil-producing Kurdish region of Kirkuk in order to take control of its oil fields. It was among a number of resolutions passed along with lawmakers asking for border crossings to be closed and foreign consulates in Kurdistan to be shut down.
على الحكومة استدعاء السفراء والممثلين في الدول التي لديها ممثليات ومكاتب في الإقليم لغرض إبلاغهم بإغلاق تلك الممثليات والقنصليات ونقلها إلى محافظات خارج إقليم كردستان. التصويت على صيغة القرار الذي تلي الآن. تصويت.
Iraq considers the vote as unconstitutional as it was held not only within the Kurdish region itself but on disputed territory held by Kurds. Pressure has been mounting on the Kurds since the vote, not just from Baghdad but also from Turkey. After threatening to cut the oil pipeline on the border and conducting military drills in the region, Turkey has now said it will suspend flights to the northern Iraqi cities starting from Friday. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said thousands of Turkish volunteers are ready to fight in Kirkuk and other Iraqi cities to defend the country's population. Let's go straight across to our international correspondent Daniele Pagani joining us for more on this. Daniele, a number of pressure tactics have been adopted by Iraq to ensure that the Kurds are in a way weakened in their resolve, but that is not to be because as we've been reporting and getting the latest from Kurdistan, they do not have any intention of backing down.
Absolutely not. I would say that none of the two sides has any intention of backing down. Nor the Kurds, neither the Kurds nor the government, the central government in Baghdad. And this is only the beginning of what will be a very tough game of pressure and negotiations. Baghdad will toughen more and more, will use all its power in order to tire, I would say, the entire Kurdish population and the Kurdish government, trying to close the borders, trying to send troops, trying to let the Shia militias, the popular mobilization forces, take control over the law enforcement in some areas. These are all things that the Kurds will obviously not appreciate and will try to retaliate somehow. So it's a very tough battle between two very tough negotiators, and in this moment Iraq has, I would say, the game up, because closing the entire airspace, which is something that actually Baghdad is legally entitled to do, is a very strong move, but they are legally entitled to do, would create a lot of problems. Also, Turkey is doing the same, is preventing all flights from Turkey to Iraqi Kurdistan. The two airports, the two major airports are one in Erbil and one in Suleimania towards Iran. They stopped all the flights to those two airports. The same did Baghdad. So there is, for the time being, no chance to fly in and out Iraqi Kurdistan. This is not a problem only for passengers who need to travel, but this is a problem for trade and the goods that the people of Kurdistan need. They majorly import all their goods. So not having the chance to fly in and out, it's a problem for the trade, for the entire trade of the small Kurdistan region.
Stephen, be pleased, Daniele, as you just pointed out, a number of measures that have been taken, including no foreign flights being allowed to take off or land at the Erbil airport. Important to highlight here that the Iraqi Prime Minister had given the Kurdish region president 72 hours to give up control of airports in the Kurdish region. Meanwhile, Turkey has told Iraq Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi that it would deal with his government on crude oil exports. In a telephonic conversation, Turkish Prime Minister confirmed the support of his country to all decisions sought or taken by the Iraqi government after the independence referendum held in Iraqi Kurdistan on Monday. Daniele, also as far as the referendum is concerned, even though it's not binding, but just tells us the pent-up resolve that's been there on the ground within the Kurds for the longest time, but also the sharp reactions that have come in from Iraq, Turkey and the regional players, fearing that such movements could also galvanize in their own countries. And is that the only reason why this referendum is being opposed by the regional players?
Well, I would say is the major reason. As absurd as it may seem, this is truly a matter of politics. Turkey especially has a huge Kurdish population. This Kurdish population has been fighting for its very right of existence, of constitutional existence since decades, and not only with words, also with weapons. They had a fully fledged guerrilla against the Turkish government led by the PKK, the Kurdish Workers' Party. And obviously the Turkish government is very much worried that the case of the Iraqi Kurdistan gaining independence could bolster and galvanize its very own Kurds and lead them once again into the path of guerrilla, of attacks, therefore escalating what has been a low-intensity conflict, at least in the last few years. The same happens in Iran, where there is a very strong community of Kurds. It's perhaps the smallest community of Kurds, and the government of Iran has been also very much oppressive in their regards. But as soon as the independence took place, the very same night, the Iranian Kurds took to the streets and demonstrated in favor of the independence of Iraqi Kurdistan. In Syria, in the northern part of Syria, Kurds control an entire belt running all along the northern border of Syria, and they have never made a mystery about their willingness to receive autonomy. So the main reason behind these countries being worried is the political possibility of all the Kurds trying to at least gain a status of autonomy within the countries they live in.
All right, we're going to leave it there for the moment, Daniel. I appreciate those inputs coming in. As we continue to track the latest on the Kurdistan referendum, there's another referendum that's taking place as we speak.